just like just be yourself. Love yourself.
And that again sounds like such a cliche and cheesy, but then again, it's actually true. Hey guys, Nina here.
Hey, and I'm Anya.
And welcome to our podcast. So today we'll be talking about A Darker Shade of Magic by Victoria Schwab.
Yay.
This is a book I've just recently read. I finished it, 2 days ago? And it was recommended to me by Anya actually a while ago. She's a fan. So I guess I would like for you, Anya, to start this episode and tell us a little bit about the book.
Yay, okay, I'll be glad to. So yeah, I think this is like one of my like go-to fantasy recommendations. Like I feel like it does everything I kind of want a fantasy to do, especially like as a first book in a series. And my memory of this series is sort of like a new book came out around the time of like the winter holidays when we had a break in school. So it was like kind of fun for like a couple of years to get a new book each time the holiday started and I was reading it then. So I kind of have like nice memories of that. And of course last year the new book / spin-off whatever came out. So I had to reread the whole series for that, of course. And it's interesting because like some of my opinions changed as far as, you know, like the characters go, like everyone's decisions, blah, blah, blah. But like there were still like really good fantasy books. Like I still enjoyed them a lot. So like, of course, I started annoying you again and pressuring you into reading them. And I love Victoria Schwab. Just like everything I've read by her is kind of great. So you can't go wrong with her, I think. And yeah. And what do you think?
Okay, yeah. I started the book and I was into it immediately. I was, hooked by the idea of there being 4 different Londons. I'm always into the, world traveling stories, different dimensions, universes, whatever. But honestly, now that I finished the book, I kind of wish that this was explained a little bit better, what all of it actually means, why there are 4 different Londons in different universes, and why are they all named Londons even though the countries are actually completely different. Like for example, you have our world, which is, so London is in England, but in another world, the country is named differently, and it's not just an island country, but it's literally like an entire continent, for example. It's like so big. And I guess I just wish that we will get an explanation for that, but there are like 3 more books, so maybe, we'll get that eventually. So I don't know. Yeah, guys, by the way, this is just the spoilers for the first book, so don't worry again. And I don't know. My opinion actually is it's a cute fantasy book, but I wasn't that hooked. I'm not like really looking forward to the next book. I'm not super excited about it. I didn't like fall in love with it as much as you did. I liked it and I think it's cute, but yeah, I don't know. I expected a little bit more, I think.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's interesting because I actually wanted to say that I actually really enjoyed the world building and the way the magic system and everything is described. I kind of feel like everything was explained super well, like for my personal taste. Because there wasn't really much info dumping at the start, We just get exactly like the amount of the information we kind of need to like figure out what's going on, and then things are just happening and you sort of get it. So for me, I kind of got like enough of it as I was going. I think the thing with London's, it was explained in a way that, before, like, I don't know how many thousands of years ago, the portals between those universes were opened. And back then, like, I guess the cities were in constant communications and they just, like, all adopted that name.
Okay, yeah, I understood, that there were like doors between these worlds and that people, they could like travel all the time and visit each other and stuff. But I guess I didn't get the part that they, decided together that they would name these entry points London. But if that's the case, okay, yeah, then it makes sense why they're all Londons, even though, each dimension actually has a completely different country and all of that. So that's cool.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't even thinking about it in that way. I was just like, just the concept of that
Yeah,
is interesting. So I was
that's
like,
true.
I will not overthink this because I like
Yeah,
it. And I will just run with it, you know? So,
I get that. I mean, that is a cool concept for sure. So yeah, we basically have four different Londons. There's like Grey London, which is pretty much our world, right? There's no magic in Grey London. Well, there's magic actually in every world, but here it's kind of forgotten. It's not prominent anymore. People just generally cannot do it. Then you have White London, which is the scary London,
Yeah.
the creepy London. People there are pretty much obsessed with magic. They like need it, they want it, they fight each other over it. They're like ruled by these twins who are completely
Scary as
insane
fuck.
and scary and so creepy the way
Yeah.
they're described. Like their skin is super white and they just look like leeches in my head. They're just gross. Then you have Red London, which is my favorite. They basically live there in harmony. You know, magic is a thing, but they're not like crazy and stuff. It's just
Yeah.
like a cute little world with magic in it and nice colors and stuff. So that's really nice. And then you also have Black London, which isn't a thing anymore actually. Black London used to be the most prominent in magic, I guess, but they were like so obsessed with it that it basically ate them alive in a
Yeah.
way. And that's why the other Londons had to close their gates so they couldn't visit each other anymore because they were scared that that power and what happened to Black London was going to happen to them too. But yeah, I guess that's why White London is the way it is right now because they're the closest to Black London. So when the gates closed, they kind of had to deal with that mess by themselves. So that's kind of sad. You know, if they had help, maybe it wouldn't be as awful as it is in their world right now.
Yeah, like Red London kind of screwed them over and just like left them to deal with it, you know? But at the same time, like, I guess it was the only way to like save at least some of those dimensions. But yeah, that's kind of how this world like operated for like a while. And like as a concept, I feel like it's unique enough, but also like quite easy to understand enough. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I kind of got it immediately, but it was still like interesting enough so that it didn't like really remind me of too many other things I've read. So I enjoyed that. But of course, since we do know about all of those dimensions and we know about all the events that are happening in all of them, that means that some people can still travel between them, right? So this is our main character, Kell. He is an Antari, and that basically means he's like one of the last few magicians that are like powerful enough to actually manage to travel between those Londons, even though they're all sealed up. So basically in this world there's one Antari left basically in each dimension, as we find out. And yeah, and the story is basically how Kell finds a little trinket thingy that is actually originated from Black London, and now he's kind of fucked because that magic can sort of destroy everything. He has to deal with that now.
Yeah. That was creepy again because this magic can basically possess other people and they turn into these demons or whatever, and that always creeps me out. So that was a cool concept. I feel like this book was well made in the storyline, you know, like it's interesting, it's different, I think, and the world building is good, I think. Also, like you mentioned before, the info dumping isn't actually info dumping. There's no info dumping here, it just all naturally is explained and you never get the sense like it's info dumping. Yeah, I repeated this word so many times, but fine. But yeah, I feel like because that's the thing, I think that characters suffer a little bit. You know, I didn't get as attached to any of these characters at all, sadly. You know, I feel like if something happened to Kell, I would be sad, but other than that, I wasn't. Like, for example, there was a time when I thought Rai died.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sad.
Oh, damn.
I was just like, oh, well, okay. Because, like, what do we really know about Rai? He's a prince, Cal loves him, and that's that. You know what I mean? He's kind.
Yeah.
But we don't really get to know him, anything about him more than that, so I didn't really get attached, and yeah, I didn't get that sense of them being brothers and of them, like, feeling like brothers and having that dynamic and that relationship. It didn't feel like that at all to me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as I like recommended this book to you, one of the first things I said was that like it's way more plot driven than it is character driven.
You have warned
So
me, yes.
yeah, so like that's like a bit of a difference than like what we I guess usually discuss. So like I agree with you there that like getting super deep into the characters kind of like wasn't, I think, like the point, especially like in the first book. I think that like as we go in later, we also get like Rice's perspective in later books and everything, so like you do get more attached to the characters. Later, like the first book is more of like, an introduction to this world.
Makes
And
sense.
yeah, so as I was reading this time, the first book, I did get like super attached to Kell and to Ryan. I do get them as brothers, but then like I actually know what happens in the next books and like that whole family dynamic, and everything that, Kell is thinking and everything about his past, and that is like affecting how I see this book. So that's why I'm like into it. But like I guess if I was reading it for the first time, I would be like, okay, yeah, like they're going off on adventures, whatever. So like I hope you get more into it as we read more. And I also like I fucking forgot that Fry almost died. Oh yeah, he did die. But
I mean, he died, and then Cal like saved him by connecting them. But then the second time, it was when Cal decided to, sacrifice the stone. And this magic in the stone was like basically telling him, if you sacrifice me, your brother is gonna die too. But he kind of risked it. And then there was like a change of perspective. And, we saw how the one guard that was possessed, he died. And the others that were possessed, they just kind of, crumbled to the ground. And then there was like a sentence that the young prince that was sleeping in his bed went completely still. And that was it. So that kind of told me, oh my gosh, he died, so he actually is dead. But then we realized that that's not the case. But yeah, once it was said that he's dead, I was just like, that's too bad for Cal. I mean, he's gonna hurt, but I just didn't care that much.
Oh my gosh, I actually like was emotional. I mean, so I read it the first time, I don't know, like whenever it came out, basically. Then I reread it last year, so I totally fucking forgot what happens to Ryan in this book. So I was actually emotional as fuck. And like I knew that he like is in the next books, but I was still like, holy shit, like what? This happens here?
Yeah.
Like why I know that he's alive, so like what is that? So no, actually I was totally into it. But yeah, I mean it's gonna be interesting to see like if your opinion changes later or not on them.
I think I just need more of him. I definitely getting his perspective is gonna be interesting, and I feel like if you get characters' perspectives, it's normal that you get more attached to them.
Yeah.
So I think that will definitely help. But for so far, I think I just didn't get enough for me to get right. But that's like you said, it's the first book, it's an introduction, so it makes sense.
Sure, yeah. And what do you think of the rest of our main characters? Kell, Lila, Holland, I guess?
Holland is my favorite, for sure. He's the most intriguing. I also want to learn more about him. But so far what I've got, I really like. It seems that, he's basically just forced into doing the things he does. He doesn't actually want to do them. And it was so sad when Kell killed him. Well, is he dead? That's the question. But I hope not. If she killed her most interesting character, that doesn't make sense. But like, let's say that he is dead. So far he's dead. And it was so sad when Kell kind of said that it seems like he wanted to die, like he was grateful to Kell for killing him, and that while, they were fighting, that he saw him hesitate for a second, like he let him do it. And he definitely let him do it, because in a battle, that man is a god in comparison to Kell. That's another thing that I'm kind of also annoyed, but I'm gonna get to that later. But yeah, Holland is just so interesting, and everything he had to go through to suffer, he suffered so much. But you know what kind of confused me? I thought, like, at the beginning of the book, the Antari, they're described like as the most powerful magic wielders, right? But he kind of was in the fight for the throne in the White London.
Yes.
And the two twins defeated him. So I'm just confused. I thought the Antari are like the most powerful. I guess if like two other magical people who are actually also powerful unite, they can defeat an Antari.
Yeah, I think what we know so far of the twins is that like the guy is really good at making spells that possess people. So that's something that I don't think Antari can actually, like, they can't really possess people. So it's just, like, different sort of magic, and that's suppressing him. But if you are interested in finding out how it came to that, to the situation where Holland is, like, essentially enslaved, even though he's so powerful and he was contending to the throne, then I will reassure you that we get the entire backstory of Holland.
Thank God.
Yes.
Thank God. But yeah, I guess that confused me too. I didn't realize that, you know, that the Antari, they can't do the things that the twins, for example, can do. I thought they can do it too. That's just not what they're, like, focusing on. That's just not, like, what they're working on. I thought, like, they can do whatever magic they focus on.
Yeah, I guess they're more, like, blood magic type of things. Yeah, plus, like, White London is super fucked up. Like, I don't even know, like, if the things you can do in White London you can do, like, everywhere.
That's
like,
true.
They're just, like, inventing new shit over there. Like, the last drops of magic that they have.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
White London's fucked up.
Definitely, like, do not worry. Victoria loves Holland. Also, like, we love Holland, she loves Holland, so you will be getting a lot more Holland.
Okay, that actually makes me happy. I'm excited about that. But hopefully we'll be getting more of, like, Holland, like, in the future. And I just don't want him just in flashbacks. I really hope that he's not dead. I mean, she loves him. You just told me that, so...
Yeah. We didn't see him die.
Exactly.
We just see him get teleported.
Yeah, because the Antari, they, like, die really slowly. Like, he was dying for a while there. It's insane. And honestly, yeah, what I wanted to say before, like, I like Kell. I think he's a cool main character. I mean, I think it's a bit of a cliche again because, I mean, but I can't really blame Victoria for this. Every fantasy book has a main character who is special, who is different. And of course, Kell has to be different in that sense too, meaning he possesses this rare type of magic. He's an Antari, like we said before, that's super rare. It's just him and Holland so far. And yeah, okay, he has a black eye. That's a cool visual, I think. But what I was annoyed at is that at the beginning of the book, we first get, like, the perspectives of this guard that takes care of the prince, right? He guards him and his best friend. Anyways, he, in his perspective, basically says that they don't have to basically protect the prince so much when Kell is around because he's the safest when he's with Kell, right? Because Kell is supposedly such a badass, right? With his magic, and he's so powerful. But then, like, Kell, the first time he gets attacked by that possessive person when he comes back to his own London with the stone, right?
Yeah.
He gets attacked and he just doesn't fight well at all. He just gets trapped so fast. He almost dies so fast. And I just wrote in my Kindle at that point, like, does this boy know how to fight, like, at all? Or, like, the magic that he uses in those scenes actually is very minimal. So I was just disappointed by that whole battle scene. I expected him to be this, like, really powerful. The way he was described is this, he's really powerful. And then in practice, it wasn't really shown that he is. And then he also had to fight Holland, and Holland was so much stronger than him again. He just beat the shit out of him, you know what I mean? If Lila hadn't come and, like, saved his ass, he would have died. So I was just like, this guy he's useless. And I'm sorry, I like Kell, I like him, but I just actually wrote it in my notes. He is useless. So I was kind of annoyed by that. Like, I like the fact that he's not, like, entirely impossibly powerful. Like, no one can defeat him, so it's unrealistic. But, I mean, I want a little bit of badassery from him, you know? Just, like, anything, something.
Cool.
And sorry, again, it's just another thing. Like, even when he supposedly killed Holland, he kind of killed him by tricking him. And that's a good... I mean, he uses his intelligence, which is a good thing. But I don't know. If you're going to defeat someone, I want it to be a clear win, you know, like, because you're just so strong.
Okay. Yeah, I actually kind of enjoyed that Kell wasn't, like, a badass battle hero, you know, like, that's a bit different, I feel like. Yeah, like, he was still, like, an interesting character enough for me without being, you know, a warrior necessarily. But you're right that guard did think that, so I'm thinking, like, that's the guard that basically, like, worships him and thinks Ontario, like, special, you know, gods, whatever. So maybe he was like a bit exaggerating. Like maybe that's his opinion of his like powers.
That is true, but I mean, then again, like the Antari in general, I just described as the super, rare, badass. There's no one like them. So you immediately get, with the guard's perspective or not, you get this sense that they're like, you cannot defeat them, And with Kell, I just didn't get that sense at all. So, like, I don't mind a hero that isn't that good of a warrior or whatever, just like you said, it makes him different. But the way he was represented in the book, I got this expectation that I'm gonna get some serious battle shit from him, like, he's just gonna be so badass.
Okay, yeah. I don't think I've read the first book, thinking that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, I think, to see what you think of book 2. Because, like, in book 2, I do feel like there was a bit of, like, I don't know, plot thing, whatever. Like, where, in book 1 we find out that, like, Kell, like, I did not see him really as a warrior, as, like, a badass in, like, sword fighting, or, like, battling like duels or something. Like I didn't see him like that. So like in book 2 it was a bit different. So if you want to see more fighting from Kell, like you will see it in book 2, but then like I got a feeling that like he learned that like what, in 2 weeks, you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, like I guess either we should have gotten like an explanation that no, he actually like was training also to battle this whole time, or, I don't know, like, he should have been more badass in book 1 also. But yeah, like, this is right that there is a bit of an inconsistency with that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, that kind of just annoyed me because I had these expectations based on the descriptions and all of that, and then it wasn't the case. But I think there was a moment where Holland said something like, you've never really had to fight before. Like Holland, he had to fight his entire life. I mean, the environment in which he was born, like, forced him into that. So it's not surprising that Holland's so good at what he does. While Kell, he is kind of spoiled, you could say. I mean, he grew up in a castle. He was treated like a prince. He didn't really... Maybe he was trained, but maybe he never had to use those abilities in practice. So this was the first time that he did have to. And, it would make sense that, of course, at the beginning he would kind of freeze, be nervous. And maybe that's the reason why he was defeated so easily and stuff. Like, maybe you could explain it like that. And then he got used to it kind of in book 2 or something.
That's true though, because yeah, like we have to consider like the environments that they grew up in and like how all those different worlds operate. There was like one phrase where Kell is thinking that like it could have easily been like him in Holland's place and Holland in his place, and that's why he has so much empathy for him.
Exactly.
And that's so interesting to me, so that's why I enjoyed like this sort of dynamic a lot.
Same. I wish we had more scenes with Holland and Kell, honestly. Like, it was so good. Yeah, the moment, I think, when he visited the twins and basically they took Holland's blood and, you could see how Holland wasn't into it. And I also just love the description of Holland, how he also just seems so composed, so cold. But then, like, when he was in the presence of the twins, Kell could see just a glimpse of hate on his face, in his eyes. Yeah. And I also imagine, like, I just can't help myself. I imagine Holland as, like, super hot. Like, tall and handsome and very pale, but, like, dark,
Yeah, I imagine him as the Winter Soldier. Like Sebastian Stan.
Sebastian Stan, yes. I did not have that. I didn't have actually a specific visual in my head. I had like different types of visions. Like, for example, I had Ian Somerhalder. I had Timothy Chalamet. I don't know how to pronounce his surname. Chalamet, yeah. I had different people. Yeah. Enzo also from the Vampire Diaries, just weird. But now that you mentioned Sebastian Stan, I think he's a perfect mix of all of the ones that I just mentioned. Yeah,
and like his face, he can really do like this cold, like stone face.
If anyone ever makes a movie or a TV show of this, please cast him as Holland.
Yes. Like, I have sort of a memory where I think like Victoria posted that she sees him as Sebastian Stan. So
oh my gosh. Yeah. Good. Victoria, we support this decision.
Yeah, I love that. But I think that's, like, kind of explains what you thought about Kell. Like, I guess that he, like, learned to fight, but he learned to fight in his, like, fancy little castle with, like, the guards that worship him. So, like, that's, of course, like, the kind of training he got. And like in Red London, where everything is like nice and happy and peaceful, they think like, oh, this guy's super powerful. But then if you put them against some real soldiers, then he's like fucked, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to explain it. Yeah. Okay, then we also have Lila.
Yes.
I just have to mention that at first when I read Lila's chapter, I was intrigued by her, for sure, this pirate girl. But then again, I was just so interested in Kell that at that time that I was like, ugh, Lila, just go away, right? But I really loved how they met. You know, she was running away from these boys that were after her, and he was running away from Holland at the time, or someone else, I think Holland. And she basically stole the stone from him. That was a good one, because the chapter ended with him saying, like, I had just been robbed. And I was just like, of course you have. Like, oh my, of course she robbed you. I mean, I think, you know, you have people that are actually addicted to stealing things. Like, they go in a store and they have to take something. I think Lila's one of them. Like, literally everywhere she goes, she just has to take something. It's funny. Like, she literally took a stone from him. I mean,
yeah. And I mean, that's kind of a similarity between them, isn't it? Like, Kell can't stop trading things either.
That's true.
Yeah.
He can't, yeah. Kell... I love that, by the way. The fact that he does that, even though he doesn't really need anything. No. Like, he has money, he has everything, but he just wants something for himself. And also, it was kind of sad, the fact that, you know, he sees Rai as his brother, but he doesn't really see his parents as his parents. And when Rai was captured, the mom was like, where is my son, right? Because before I was thinking, maybe this is probably just in Kell's head, right?
Yeah.
You know, because these are not his parents, so he doesn't feel like he belongs. But that's when I was like, oh shit, no, actually he's right? They don't see him as his kid. He's basically just someone to protect their kid.
Yeah, like that part of the story is so goddamn tragic to me, because like, sure, you can think that, you know, like, Kell has this life of luxury, he's a prince, like his family are like the fucking king and queen, you know, like, what does this guy have to complain about? Like, he's the super powerful special magician. But like, you know, like, I get why he's so melodramatic and emotional about his place in life, because he can't remember shit from like his childhood.
That's so awful that they actually erased his memories from before. Like, why would they do that, right? It actually makes me think maybe he's from Black London or something.
Maybe.
I don't know, maybe he's from Black London. There's a secret behind. I mean, why would they otherwise erase the memories? Like, there has to be something serious about that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe he was like stolen from his real parents and he can't go back. Or maybe the real parents like sold him or something.
Or something like that, and they're actually still alive, and like if he wanted to, he could find them or something.
Yeah, I think that points more to, you know, this royal family really seeing him as like a possession or like a weapon. Like, it doesn't even matter where he's from, but they won't take the risk of him like finding that out.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad that I feel like Rai, he doesn't understand Kell that well, because Kell at one point, he actually told him, you know, like something in the sense that he's not actually a part of the family or something like that, and Rai got kind of mad at him. Yeah. And I'm like, man, I mean, come on, you know?
Yeah, and he was like, what, do we not provide for you? Yeah. Like, what else do you need?
And I'm like, what?
Like, yeah, like, I guess Rai doesn't see it. Like, in his head, like, his parents are great people, you know, they treat him well. Like, he's, you know, he actually, like, has this parental love. So maybe he doesn't, like, see that Rai is having, like, a different fucking experience. And, like, how do you even explain something like that?
That is true.
Yeah, but it's sad.
It's complicated. Yeah, I mean, I hope, like, in future books we get more of Rai's, you know, understanding, in the sense that he sees it more from, like, Kell's perspective too. But yeah, back to Lila. So Lila is pretty much as a wannabe pirate. She's a thief. She basically disguises herself in men's clothing. Everyone thinks she's a man. So when, you know, they post posters in the town of a thief that's like, obviously stealing things, she's like seen as this skinny, tall man, basically. She has like a friend, Baron, yes. I mean, a friend. I imagine him like as kind of a chubby older guy, right? Like her dad or something. And he owns this tavern. Yeah. And she pretty much goes to him when shit goes to hell. Anyways, I'm not gonna summarize everything, but he's the only person she has. And she always like dreamed of a bigger life. She always wanted something special going on. So when she meets Kell, I was like, oh my gosh, this is like a dream come true to her, you know? Finally something interesting interesting is going on. She can be part of this adventure that she really wants to go on. But at the same time, I guess I wasn't that intrigued by Lila just because she seems so vanilla in a sense. You know, like, yeah, sure, she's adventurous and all of that, but every character, female character that we get in any book is kind of like that, right? So again, this book isn't that special in that way either. And sometimes she was just too much, you know, just like I don't care if I'm gonna die, at least I'm gonna live, you know? It's like a bit of a cliche, right? I mean, like, be afraid a little bit of your own mortality. I mean, everyone is, you know. It felt kind of forced, like she was forcing herself to be different. You know, like sometimes you have, for example, on Instagram, you have people who really want to be seen as artists, so they post these artistic pictures because they really want to be different and they really want to stand out. But eventually, when you have like that blank face in every picture and every picture is black and white, it's just obvious that you're like really trying too hard. And sometimes with Lila, it felt like that, like she was trying too hard to be different and to be this adventurous girl. And yeah, that's what the sense that I got. It was a bit too much. It didn't always feel as natural as I wish it would have.
Yeah, the first time I've read this book, I actually loved Lila. I thought she was super cool. I thought she was like so badass, so like interesting that she wants to go on all of those adventures. Like I really, really enjoyed her as a character the first time I've read it. And I still like her as a character. And I think that, you know, with the way that she grew up and with the kind of life she had, you know, she had to survive in like the fucking streets of London since she was a kid. Like, she just like had to learn those skills, how to like fucking battle and how to like disguise herself, because like as a woman it's like harder to like fucking survive on the street, right? So I feel like her character still makes sense within like the backstory that she got, and also with like who she is. I mean, she lost her eye as she was very young, and
excuse me, I have a theory about this. Yeah. I think she's Antari.
Duh. Oh my gosh. Actually, I was rereading this the second time. I was like, how the fuck was I so stupid that I didn't even like just see that? Like, I don't even think that's a plot twist. I think we were supposed to just know it.
She doesn't have an eye, doesn't she? And it was probably black.
Yep, and she somehow keeps ending up at this tavern that like is like a space all Antari sort of go to, you know? So it's like, she's an Antari. And I feel like that's like something that's like just similar in all of them. Like, you know, like Kell steals all the time, and he's like, he can't like handle being like a possession, you know, he wants to be free. And I feel like that's like just like a quality of those magicians, like they want to be free. And that's why Lila is like so obsessed with this idea of just like going somewhere. Like she has the power to go somewhere, she doesn't even know it. So
yeah, I mean, when you explain it like that, then her, you know, desire to be so adventurous, and when it seems too much to me, it actually makes sense in this context. But we don't know in the first book yet, right? No. I mean, we find out that she does have magic. Like Kell's teacher, he basically senses it. So we know there's something, yeah. But interesting that she has, I mean, this kind of a magic, and she was born in Grey London. It makes me wonder if she's also from somewhere else. I mean, once the doors were open, people probably mixed and they like moved from one London to the other or something. So maybe that's when like her ancestors come from a different one. But no, actually Grey London also used to have magic. It just faded away.
True. Grey London possesses the least magic, but you know, none of the worlds are like truly without magic. So we do find this out, and even with Antari, we're basically told that like it doesn't really follow like some sort of genetics or something, because otherwise like everyone would just like make sure they, you know, I don't know, get more Antari children or something. Exactly, so it's kind of like, I don't know, the universe deciding that shit. So
that's also so cool. I mean, I like the idea of just it being random, but it would also be interesting if eventually in one of the books they kind of do find out a pattern or something, just like to satisfy my own curiosity. But it's a cool thing, yeah. This Antari thing, I find it to be really interesting.
I mean, so far we know that there's like basically one from each London, so at least that's like some sort of
Yeah.
fate or whatever.
You know what I had when he was like explaining all of the Londons? I actually had a theory that Black London isn't actually gone, that it's maybe still alive. Maybe they actually survived the dark magic and maybe they like defeated it or something. At first I had the theory that it's a political cover-up, that actually the magic there wasn't that bad at all. But then when Kell got the black stone and it was so awful and it possessed people and shit, I was like, well, shit, I mean, it seems that it was that bad, right? I mean, there's still a possibility that this stone is actually from somewhere else and not from Black London at all, but okay, let's say that it is. And then yeah, I got the idea that maybe they just like defeated it and they're actually still alive and well, and yeah, and maybe Cal's family is actually there.
Maybe Black London is thriving and they just don't feel like dealing with anybody else.
Exactly.
And so they're like,
maybe they don't have like an Antari because Kell is actually the Antari from Black London.
damn.
You know, so that's why they can't even open the doors, even if they wanted to. And maybe like in the next books in Red London, a new Antari is going to be born, and we're going to realize that that's the Antari of the Red London, not actually Kell. He's the Antari of Black London.
Damn. Well,
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm having my own theories here, guys.
No,
Never
that's
mind me.
cool. That's interesting. I mean, I'm obviously not going to tell you anything,
Mm-hmm.
but it could be interesting. I mean, we'll for sure see Black London as well in the next book.
Of course we will, thank God. See, a part of me, like I said, it's like a cute fantasy book, but honestly, these kinds of things, like Black London, more Holland, and that is really intriguing me to just keep going and to find out more, because those are the things that really, yeah, I'm into.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, like the first book, I did enjoy it because I do enjoy like plot-driven stories sometimes, but it's definitely, you know, like an introduction to the series. You like find out who everyone is, you get like a plot that is like good, and like I don't think there's any like inconsistencies or plot holes. Like it does what it needs to do, you know, like we get like a magic stone that possesses people. Is this like the most unique idea on the planet? Like no, like, it's basically Lord of the Rings thingy, but
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, but like it doesn't like need to do anything else. Like it's enough to like give us an understanding of like this universe basically,
That's true.
and introduce us to everyone. So that's why I was like, I can see that like this is good, and if the next books like push all of those ideas further, it would be awesome. So that's why I enjoy the entire series. I feel like for me, book 2 is the book that I like the least, and book 3 is the book I like the most.
Okay.
But in book 2 we definitely get more of characters and the things that you were kind of not
Missing.
happy about. Yeah,
Okay.
I think we do get some more of that in book 2, but yeah, still I really enjoyed book 1, and also I got like hooked once Kell and Lila met, for sure, you know.
Yeah.
The whole meeting and like all the parallels between them, you know, how Lila lives in the same fucking room in the tower as he does in like his London, like that's so cool. Like they could have met like 3 million times basically, but they never did until
Yeah.
that moment. So
That's
really enjoyed it.
that I enjoyed too, yeah. Their dynamic was fun. I guess another thing that I did miss in the book is romance, you know. I mean, they had their little thingy going on. They kissed 2 times and something, but there wasn't like any flirting really and stuff. And I feel like in every book that I read, I need that. I need a little bit more of romance. It has to be a bit more prominent for me. It doesn't have to be the main thing for sure. Definitely it can be a side thing, but just a little bit more of that. So hopefully we'll get more of that too in the next books. And also what surprised me was the fact that this book basically was concluded. You know, I thought it was gonna be like he was gonna have to still kind of find his way to Black London to throw the stone in and stuff, and that's how we were gonna get there. But no, he actually destroyed the stone without getting to Black London, and now I guess Lila's on her way to get herself a pirate ship, and he's on his way to the castle back, right? Has to deal with his so-called parents and all of that. So I guess they're separating now, but they'll need to come back together again, because there's gonna be like another storyline probably connected to this one, but in a different way.
Yeah, so the story is not over for them, but so the thing is, I was actually for some reason thinking that this is going to be a duology. And, you know, the first book ended, it did not end really on a cliffhanger, like everyone got a sort of ending, but of course, you know, with enough things happening that you can tell that there can be more. And for some reason, I thought that we will get only one more book. So I was reading the second book with complete conviction that this is it. That the story will conclude as I come to the ending. And the ending of book 2 is a fucking cliffhanger.
Oh my god.
I was shocked. I was like flabbergasted. I was like going onto the internet and seeing like if it like actually ends like that. And then I had to wait a year, so you know.
I hate when that happens. Like, for example, you expect it to be a duology and then it ends on a cliffhanger and you're like shocked and you cannot live your life anymore. Or sometimes you expect that it's gonna be, I don't know, multiple books, but it's actually a duology, and then it just ends. And you're also disappointed because you expected it to keep going on, and you're like, well, I want more of these characters, so what the fuck? Mm-hmm. So if you don't know in advance if a book is gonna be a duology, a trilogy, or whatever, like, you just can't. You have to know that. I have to know that. If I don't know that, I'm gonna be pissed off and I'm gonna be sad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so warning you right now, there's a fucking cliffhanger, but you don't have to wait a year, you'll get this.
Thank God. Like, I'm so happy. That's why I just usually don't like reading books as they are coming out, because of this reason. I prefer to just like wait. And like if I don't start a book and I hear from other people that it's great, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, well, I'll wait, because I didn't start, so I don't have that need, to keep going. I can just save it for later. But yeah, sometimes I do start it and I hate myself.
Especially when you are so obsessed with it, but then like a year or however much passes and like you don't remember shit anymore, but like like the ending was super dramatic and now you're like, what's going on now? I forget.
But thankfully we have a podcast now.
Yeah.
So if we ever like forget shit, we can just go and listen to our own episodes and remember.
Exactly.
This is so good. Guys, everyone should start a podcast for this reason, even if no one listens to you. You have basically a diary of your own books and you just can go ahead and listen to yourself.
Exactly. Like 60% of the reason we're doing this is just that I have like an archive of what I actually like thought of those books, because like you think I'll remember any of this shit in 3 weeks? No, I won't. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah. We're geniuses, honestly.
Yeah. And like I kind of trained myself to now write down every single thought that I have about any piece of media that interests me.
Okay.
I actually like force myself into having this habit.
Really?
Like I can't even, because I prepare like notes for every episode that we do. So like if you're like looking for a creative outlet and shit, just start making a podcast. Like you will be forced every week to like think critically about a piece of media. Like that's good for your brain, you guys, and for your creativity. Like generally recommend it.
I kind of wish we started this sooner, like seriously, because your brain is kind of developing until you're like 24, 25 years old. So if we started this sooner, we would be geniuses by now. But now we're 26, so our brain isn't developing anymore, which means that, this isn't helping us at all.
Yeah, you're stuck with like whatever level of intelligence we're giving right now.
Yeah, I mean,
it won't get better.
we're pretty intelligent, don't worry. Yeah. But still, we could be even more intelligent.
So start before it's too late.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's something else about Lila that I wanted to mention. Like you said that like for you, she feels like she's too, not artificial, but like too, like trying hard to like be someone and like
that's the sense that, I mean, she probably isn't, but like that's the way it's written. I guess that gave me that vibe. It felt too forced.
Yeah, I mean, this is a criticism of her I've heard before, and that's like kind of like what I wanted to like mention a tiny bit, because like I think that it's like fair to not like certain things about her as a character. Like she annoys me, by the way, in like a lot of instances. Like when I was reading it like as a teenager, the first time I was like, oh, I love Lila, she's so cool, and I'm like, girl, they're seriously doing this like right now? Like think of consequences maybe for a second. So if there's like certain things that annoy you about her, like I get it. But like I went on Goodreads one time and a lot of criticism of Lila is like, I don't even know. It was like, what the hell are people even thinking? Because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, like she's one of those like special girls who's like not like other girls, and she's like so different because she loves knives and she wears pants and she like, it's like, what is this author trying to say? Like, she hates women? Is that why she's like that? And I was like, okay, what the fuck, you can just like pants, you know?
It doesn't have to be that deep, guys.
Exactly. But then, like, I was just like having a day that day, and I felt like reading some Goodreads reviews. So I went to read also reviews for Throne of Glass, and won't you believe that all the bad reviews for Throne of Glass are like, oh, Selena, she's like so special and she's so different and she's so girly and she loves dresses and she loves dancing, and like, how can she be an assassin if she's so girly? Like, what is that? Does this writer hate women?
Oh my god.
Are people insane? Like, you can't win. Like, if you're a woman and you have like a style of clothing, someone will be pressed about it. Someone will actually like be offended at you just like doing your own thing. And like, it's fine to like dislike, you know, whatever character you want. Like, I'm annoyed by both of those characters at times, but like, honestly, like, some people can't stand if someone's just like confident in how they dress, whether it's more feminine or more masculine or whatever. Like, someone will find a problem with that, and that's like, was so annoying to me.
I feel like as a woman in this society, you literally cannot win sometimes. You can be a tomboy and people are gonna judge you. You can be a girly girl and people are gonna judge you. It's just, it's hilarious. And like, when you read these Goodreads reviews, that's when it becomes so prominent, because you can literally take a screenshot and compare, and they literally judge two different characters for the exactly same reason. It's mind-blowing.
Exactly. It's like, you know, so you hate female main characters who prefer to be like more masculine? Okay, here you go, you have Throne of Glass, like, she loves being feminine. Oh, you hate that too? Like, what? What the fuck?
Yeah. Like, you can be a girly girl and you can still be a scientist, for example. You can be a girly girl and be really good at karate. These two things, they don't have to be mutually exclusive. Or you can be a tomboy girl who sometimes on the weekends likes to dress slutty and go out drinking and dancing on the dance floor and not caring about anyone in the world. And that's totally fine too. You can do both. It doesn't have to be one thing or the other, right?
Totally. And even if it's just like one thing for you and you truly like, you have like more masculine hobbies or just more masculine, like, that doesn't mean you just like hate everyone who's feminine, and that's like not why you're doing this, or the other way around, you know? So it's like, those sort of reviews, I feel like, were written by such insecure people who like can't stand that someone just doesn't like the same things. Like, I don't know. I mean, now that I've read it, I feel like there were a couple of paragraphs where Lila is like thinking like, I can never be like those girls who are like flirty and whatever, but still, like, I felt like she just like had to survive on those streets, and she's like not actually like hating women, you know? But I feel like if you're insecure, you'll just read this and think like, oh, she hates women. Like, no, she's just different than you, and like, that's fine. Like, that's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting like too deep into this, but that like annoys me a bit currently in like, I don't know, social media sphere, internet, whatever, where like before, you know, it used to be cool to like be like not like other girls, and of course that's like annoying and toxic, I get it, but like now we're going a bit more into the other direction, where if you like stand out and you're like not exactly like other girls, and you don't have like the newest fucking lipstick, and you're not doing the latest like nail trend, and you don't have like whatever like bag or whatever that's popular, then for some reason that means like you're not supporting women enough and like you're not being a girl correctly, and that's like, can we like take it down a notch, like a tiny bit? Like, we can still be individuals and just like not be like toxic about it, and like not judge too much if you like the traditional things, you know?
Exactly. That's why I don't even know anymore what's going on social media. I am a very present person on social media, but ironically, I don't really know anything. I don't check other people's profiles. I don't check movie stars, or I don't know, just like famous people. I don't know what's in. I don't know what's out. Like, I had my nails done the other day, and there was a girl there with me. She's like 16 years old, and she was like telling me how low-raised jeans are coming back in, and how now she's not gonna be able to wear high-raised jeans anymore. And I'm like, why not? Who cares? Like, you can still wear them if they suit you better, and if you feel like, it doesn't care if it's trendy or not, and I just try not to focus on that too much. But like I've said before, like, you can't win in today's society.
Totally.
And yeah, these books and the point that you just made before, it just makes this even more obvious.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to conclude this. Just like, just be yourself. Love yourself.
And
guys.
that again sounds like such a cliche and cheesy, but then again, it's actually true.
Because everyone's
actually
gonna judge you no matter what. Like, some insecure person is going to be pressed. Like, doesn't matter if you have like the fanciest, trendiest outfit on, someone's going to be pressed. If you're doing your own thing, someone's going to be pressed. So just
because the people they're just scared of doing that themselves. So if you're able to do that, they are jealous essentially, and that's why they judge you, because deep down they want to do that too and be that too.
Exactly. So like, you might as well just do whatever you want.
That's the conclusion of this. Yes. Okay, but yeah, back to Lila. Yeah, I didn't feel anything in regards to Lila in that sense. Like, she was looking at those girls, or like she's wearing manly clothes because she wanted to be different. I just feel like, in general, it just seems like the way she's written is just a bit excessive sometimes. And also, the things that she says sometimes just sound so forced. It's not about this, it's about just the general character.
Yeah, no, I get it. So like, that's also a thing a little bit about either Victoria's writing or those books specifically. Like, the characters are a bit melodramatic and a bit, like, emo about everything, So I feel like that's even true for like Kell and for like Right later and for Lilac. Like, they're dramatic, and they're not really, I guess, always realistic. But like, I'm fine with that. I kind of like reading about characters that are like super dramatic and are super like, thinking about their pasts, and like they're all like tragic. But I mean, I guess if you're like imagining this dialogue being spoken, you could be like, who the fuck is going to say that, maybe.
Yeah, it can get annoying at times for sure. Okay, yeah. What's another thing that we should mention? Oh, right. I was sad about Baron's death. That got me again, because he was like such a father figure for Lila, and no matter what she was doing, he would always just, let her stay at his place, and he would help her out. And Lila never wanted to feel indebted to him, and she was trying to pay him off with the watch, but no, he died. And I was just so angry also that it had to be Holland the one who killed him, just because I like Holland, and I still kind of wish that, I don't know, maybe eventually he's gonna work together with Lila and Kell, and of course, Lila won't be able to get over what he did to Baron. And I'm just like, why couldn't you just have hit him over the head and he would have, fainted, and that's that.
Yeah, but see, like, things that Holland is doing, like, it's not always clear if he's, like, the one doing it or if he's, like, forced into it.
Yeah,
but of course, like, if someone kills your loved one, like, do you really like understand that logically? Like, I don't know.
Exactly. Yeah, it's hard. And also, what kind of upset me too was that guard dying.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I felt like those two guards were so cute, and I enjoyed actually their perspectives. So them dying was also sad. But what I didn't like as much was the perspectives of these possessed people. I mean, sometimes, yes, I felt like sometimes it was necessary to get their perspective, just to remember that they're still a thing, and but sometimes it was too much. I felt like we got a lot of those moments of them, and sometimes I just wondered, what's the point? What did they add to the story really for me? Sometimes it felt like they didn't add anything.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I guess more to get the plot going and for the vibe, but I think I skipped those, honestly.
Exactly. I didn't skip because I was like, well, maybe there's gonna be something different and important, but most of the time it wasn't. I was like, well, I just rolled my eyes, you know.
I think it would be good if this was like a movie. They would be like interesting, you know, to see, you know, like what's happening on like a screen.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I feel like
in that case, it could be interesting, yes. And just another thing about the two guards, one of the guards had to kill the other one, and then the other one, his name is Parrish, basically said, "Why?" whispered Parrish. And Jen gazed down at him with two black eyes and a grim smile. And I just thought that was so sad. They were best friends, and then one of them was killed by the other, and he didn't even understand what was going on. I mean, these kinds of scenes, I always imagine something like this happening to me, you know, like a loved one hurting me in that way because I don't know what's going on. They're losing their mind or shit, but you don't understand, and it's like, what? You know, imagine, like,
oh my gosh.
Ugh, I mean, dying is hard enough, like, dying like that.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that's totally tragic, and I really miss them in like the next books. Yeah, sad that he had to die.
And I just read a comment in Kindle about one of the scenes. You know when the evil White City queen, she was threatening to kill Rai if Lila and him don't hand over the stone. She basically ended up actually stabbing him and killing him. That was that part.
Yeah.
And the thing is that here I actually told myself, you know, Lila had the stone, and this stone, that's another problem with the stone. It's basically almighty. So I just thought to myself, just use the stone to stop her. You know, like she could literally just wish, like she could just say stop and she would have stopped, or like drop the knife and she would have dropped the knife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I was again like, this is also unnecessary. Lila did previously tell herself in that part like that supposedly she's not gonna use the stone unless it's completely necessary. But I feel like this was a very necessary moment.
Yeah, like, I mean, I know for sure that it ends up like possessing Kell and shit, so did Lila ever use it?
Yeah, she used it. Yeah, she was the first one to use the stone actually.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah, shit, but that's like before they learned exactly.
Of course, true, but the stone never had that kind of an effect on her the way it had on Kell, so it would have been still easier for her to use it. And like she said, if it was completely necessary, I'm gonna use it. And this was a very necessary moment because, well, Rai was about to die.
Yeah. Well, I guess she doesn't like really know. Like, maybe
but she knows Kell and she saw how much he cares. I don't know, I just feel like it would be normal to use it at that time, and it was a plot thing for sure. So this book also has a bit of a plot thing. And also I was sometimes annoyed when Kell every time the stone did anything, Kell was like, impossible. This kind of magic, it doesn't exist. And I'm like, yeah, Kell, you've said that already, and we know this stone is a freaking impossible demon thing, okay, from a different planet or something. So yeah, it's impossible, but it is possible with a stone, so get over it.
Oh my gosh, okay. I mean, I actually thought that maybe it does repeat too much, but like in general, I did love the descriptions of places and of magic in this book. I feel like we got like a really good vibe of each place, like the way that Red London was described, like I could like almost feel, you know, being there. Like our London, by the way, it's from like a couple of centuries in the past, I don't know if we've mentioned that, was also described very well, like White London too. And I could kind of, I don't know if like the magic was like super well explained, you know, on like a technical level, but like the vibes I got how each place is different and how it like influences the magic differently. So
the vibes are good. Like I can imagine the aesthetic, you know. I can do like a Pinterest board right now and it would be really clear which London is which and stuff. And speaking of that, I have to like stalk the Pinterest boards for this book.
Oh yeah.
And before, when we described how Kell, he never really had to fight and shit, and here's actually a quote that I highlighted about that from Holland. So, do you know what makes you weak? Said Holland. You've never had to be strong. You've never had to try. You've never had to fight. So that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, I guess that just means, you know, even guards in Red London, they are still from the world that's like the most like coddled and the most safe and peaceful. So for them, like just the fact that he can do all this fancy magic, they probably mean, okay, like he's a superhero. Of course he can keep Rice safe. But like, yeah, I guess that wasn't like meant to be interpreted as like Kell is a great fighter. But I mean, yeah, maybe it should have been clearer a tiny bit. But yeah.
True. And I want to read just like a general quote at the end of the book that I really liked. He would see her again. He knew he would. Magic bent the world, pulled it into shape. They were fixed points. Most of the time, those points were places, but sometimes, rarely, they were people. For someone who never stood still, Lila still felt like a pin in Kell's world, one he was sure to snag on. So cute.
Yeah.
I love how he said that they were fixed points.
Honestly, yeah. Like,
I got goosebumps. Look.
yeah, like I really, really like them, and not too focused on romance this book, but still, like, for me, like, the fact that they met and, like, she stole from him and then they, like, kept meeting and it's, like, this kind of, like, pull between them, like, that's enough for me. Like,
But that's just it. That's so
needed.
romantic in a sense that I wish she would have used that to her advantage a bit more, right? Because it's such a good meet cute, right?
Yeah.
So I just wished it would be even more, like, prominent just because it has such good potential. So I really
Totally.
hope that in the future I'll get a bit more.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. It will be so interesting next week to hear what you think about book 2, because I feel like for me, that's like the book in the series that I was like the most sort of not into, the one that I feel like is like the least good for me. But like we have different opinions sometimes, and like with the opinions you gave me on book 1, I feel like you might love it.
Yeah, that's true, guys. Like, if you don't know, I'm more of a character-driven person, and Anya's more of a plot-driven person. So, if, you know, the second book focuses a little bit more on the characters, maybe, yeah, I'll actually differ in that way from you, and I'll actually prefer it to book 1.
Yeah, that would be cool. So,
No, I like the fact that we're kind of different. I feel like I gave you just a bit of a different perspective right now,
Sure.
and at the same time, you explained yourself really well for me to see it also from a different point of view. So I wanted to give it like a three stars on Goodreads. Maybe now I'll give it like a 3.5 or maybe 4.
okay, yeah, follow your own heart on that.
Of course, true, but like getting another perspective and that when it's explained well, it just kind of, you know, it gets me in the right direction.
Yeah. Of course. I mean, for me, it's still in like YA fantasy, whatever genre, like one of my favorites. But it's so good to hear where other people are coming from, because sometimes I read the book and I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like, I found out about it and everyone's raving about it, and I'm like, is that it? And then like, you know, it's good to like go and see like what people who love it like love about it, and to just hear other people's point of view. So I feel like we did that.
Exactly. Okay, that's it for today's episode, I
Yes.
think. Thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe, rate us, follow us on social media, interact with us, check out our videos. I think we post some
Yes.
fun stuff.
Read all the books that we've ever reviewed on here. Tell us what you think, of course, and you will hear from us next week. So tune in wherever you listen to podcasts. We never say that, but that's like a thing that people say when they do podcasts.
Tune in, guys, wherever you listen to podcasts. We're gonna be those girls now. I think, by the way, I just want to say, I feel like we're podcasters, but we're so not podcasters. We don't say the usual typical stuff that people say.
If you're not figured it out yet, we have no idea what we're doing.
We don't, but we're naturals at it. So,
Yeah.
you know, we don't have to
Yeah.
have an idea.
It's fun.
It just gets, I'm babbling now.
The point of it that this is fun. Like, if you feel like doing it, just do it. Because who cares? Just like everyone's going to judge you no matter what. People are just like that. So just like do this if you feel like
If you
it.
guys want to listen to a motivational episode where we just hype you up and just, you know, convince you to be the best version of yourself, like basically a therapy session, if you guys need that or want that or would want to hear that, let
We
us know.
should be motivational speakers.
We should. I feel like we should. Actually, when I did the test for what I should do in my life, it said motivational speaker.
That's basically what we are, except that we're motivating people to read the books we like.
Well, see, it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Okay, we're going now. Thanks, guys, for
Yeah.
listening, and see you next week.
Yay! And now we're going to party. Bye.
Bye.